guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So I initially wanted to do a reading vlog because it is a subscriber pick. However, work was working me out. I am on a new schedule now. It's a schedule that I'm enjoying. It's not my official schedule, but there's transition stages for me that I have to do. And one of the things about this is that it's kicking my butt in terms of time management. I have not been able to get a grasp of what I'm doing after work. So oftentimes I just have enough time to just read, do my journaling, cook and eat something, and pack for lunch for the next day. But honestly, I have quite a few hours after work, but for some reason I have not mastered that. But I've learned that the body is not used to this. The body thinks this is strange, and it feels strange even though this is a normal schedule for the average person. But I know I have to give it a couple of weeks for my body to adjust and to get into a groove and be able to do a proper time management. So my dress did not get finished, and I didn't do any of the projects that I was hoping to start at least this week. So I'm going to use that for the weekend. So I will definitely vlog this weekend. No ifs, ands about that, because it's stuff I want to finish, stuff I want to do. And then I want to do basic grooming. I need to, relax and take care of me. And also my feet hurts because I did a lot of walking today, guys. But with that said, let's talk about the book, because I did read it. Take My Hand, Dolen Perkins-Valdez. Now, I did not know much about this book. I did read a little bit inside, but I still didn't really remember what I saw. So I did walk into this a bit blind, but it was you guys' pick. I'm here for it. Thanks, Gina. And I knew that it got to be good for you to recommend this to me, because you guys know I will tell you if I don't like a book. So, absolutely, very good book. And I'm going to just tell you, for me, and I'm going to tell you many reasons why, for me, it was a 5-star read. 1, the writing. Absolutely love the writing. For a book that goes from 1973 and it reflects to 2016, it flows so well that you didn't get lost in any of the time transition. Also, this is inspired by a true story, and how the author was to capture this in a way that you felt that this was accurate, even though she had no idea to know how these family really felt about what happening. Because there's little information that was talked. This is 1973. There's no social media. There was not a lot of media coverage in terms of that. There's a lot of court case document for this particular story that inspired the book. So I will give you what the book portrayed, as well as a little bit of the real history of this. So the case I will put here, so if anybody wants to go and research the actual case. But this is a story that's about 2 young girls. In this story, they're 11 and 13. The real girls were 12 and 14. In this story, you have 2 young girls who are living with their father, who lost their mother. He is struggling to be a father when he is not employed. He's struggling to feed this family, and their grandmother also lives with them. They're living in a very broken down sharecrop kind of home, where no one should be living under that circumstance. In this community, there is a lot of poverty, and there is also a lot of people, young girls, having kids, multiple kids at a young age, and can't afford them, essentially. So this program was from a clinic that is funded by the federal government. It's in this community, and the whole idea is to provide preventative from getting pregnant. Problem is, there are several ethical issues. There's several things that they were doing that was wrong. In this, the story, the author chose to focus on a nurse that was working at the clinic. In the real case, it was the social worker that stirred and got all the attention and things happening. So for this nurse, you learn about her life because she's essentially not, would say, in the mix of typical people in the community, because she comes from a father who's a doctor. His father was also a doctor. Her mother is an artist, but she also has some issues mentally and she's struggling. But the focus wasn't so much on her, but it does focus a lot in the book on parenting in different ways. Whether you're talking about what we consider the unfit, the too young, and also why someone choose not to want to conceive, have kids. There's several things going on, including the parenting of both the single father, but also the parenting of the nurse own parents and their struggles. So there's a bit of that in this, the theme of being parents and being mothers, that kind of this thing going on in the story. Now, the nurse is focused on because she has this wanting to save, wanting to help. And when she is now used, because oftentimes the clinic is run by a white person, but they are not going to be going into these community, and these people are not going to trust them. So oftentimes they rely on the black nurses, who they feel will have a better chance because they're professionals and these people are going to trust them and believe that what they are offering them and putting it in their body is for their well-being. But we know history around that time, the late 60s and the early 70s. There's a lot of historical, ethical, and things that was damn right ugly happen to minorities, as in mainly black minority. There are some poor whites that also experience this situation, but blacks in certain community were the primary people that was affected. And in this, you get to see a bit of the things happening. The court case, which was sprinkled, the real court case was sprinkled in this. And I find myself researching this book. I researched a lot of the things that was happening in that was inspired for this story, for the real actual case. And you don't know a lot about the family. So this author really had to be creative and make it believable that this is how they felt, this is how they were thinking, that emotional connection to what was happening to them and what they were robbed of and what they have to live with for the rest of their life. And how this story also showed what was the intention that it started in the first place, was the idea of if you are mentally ill, mentally challenged, suffer from any kind of thing that would deem you unable to make your own decision, that you should not be having children. And that's where a lot of this come from. So it is a very painful story in terms of the idea that you did not sign up for something, but someone made a medical decision that you can't reverse, that kind of deal. But it's also happened in other ways. I can relate to things that happened to me as a child because I was a part of SES and exposed to multiple things, most of which was eventually approved, but one was never approved because the study was ended. But I still have to live with that thing in my body, and it's so far, it's been over 30-some years. Nothing has happened to me that I can say is a reflection of that. But I don't know for a fact, and it's something that I pay attention to every so often. I will go on certain site and see what has developed over the years for anybody else who was exposed to like me. But the good thing is, unfortunately, some of these cases has provided certain rules and regulation that never existed before, especially some on international level, where you can't do certain things like you used to before and haul up a bunch of kids and take them to a clinic and sign them up and inject them with things. You just can't do that anymore. But it was happening. It happened a lot pre the 90s. Yeah. So Actually late 90s, I would say, because early 90s they were still doing it. There's so much you learn, and reason I know so much about a lot of this is because what I have my master's degree in relates to a lot of this story. So that's what I'm gonna give you. But other than that, absolutely love this. I think it's one of those necessary read. It's one of those read you read because it is history, and it gives you so much, but it also makes you want to go and do your own research and read on actual real court cases of what really happened, and get your views on stuff like this, and how people whose life has completely been robbed. These are people that is still alive. In terms of the time period that it happened, they will still be alive. We're talking 50s, late 40s. So this is not so far away, guys. It's not like very long time ago, you know. So when you think of this story, you think of how far we've come along, but not in such a long period of time, in a short period of time. Read it, and let me know, because I know some of you guys were going to read this along with me. And how do you feel about the storyline? And did you actually go and look up the actual people that this was inspired from? And again, I think that the author did an amazing job coming up with ideas of what she thought may have been going through the minds of people involved. So yeah, and also the little girls in the real life, it was a family of 6 children, and the mother was disabled. Something happened, she was disabled, and so it wasn't a broken family in real life, but in this one they make it where the mother is passed and it's a single father situation. So that was also an interesting way how she did that in the storyline versus what really happened. So yeah, all right guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, we're gonna vlog this weekend, guys. Do some creative things, and I'll see you in the next one.